Hi, welcome to another video of How Did They Build That? Glide Edition. This is episode number 3. My name is Clyde D'Souza. I'm a software developer by profession, and over the past few months I've been looking at different things. One of them is Glide apps. Now if you don't know what Glide is, it is an online tool to convert your spreadsheet into a mobile app, most importantly without writing a single line of code. Now if you have not been following the other videos in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to look at an app that is available from the Glide template library. So this is the Glide template library on your screen right now. We're going to pick an app from this library, and we are going to copy the template into my own Glide account, and then we're going to break it down and explain. We're going to look at how it was built, and along the way I'll be explaining what those concepts mean and how you might want to actually use it. So having said that, let's look at a template. So what I've done is I've just had a look what would be a good app to look at for episode number 3, and I found this task tracker. It is a pretty decent app, and so let us copy and have a look how it functions, and then we will look at how it was built. So when you click on the copy template, this will copy it to our account, but before that let's have a look at how it was built. So we see that there's categories. So task tracker, you'll think it is something like a to-do app where you have a bunch of tasks and you check that boxes and then you complete it. So this is they have added categories to it instead of just the regular tasks, and there's 3 menu items here. You have categories, you have all projects, then you have open task, and this is your to-do list. So in the categories we have a personal, and clicking on that brings you to another screen where you can add a new project, but you can also view the projects that are linked to this particular category. And clicking on one of those projects takes you to a screen that allows you to change the status and also edit the particular item, and also look at the outstanding tasks for this particular record. So there's a project and then there's tasks. So there's 3 layers. You have categories, projects, and then inside that you have tasks. So that is a pretty good app, neat app. We have, and you can select one of these, you can click on the task status as complete and go back, and it disappears from this list, but it also appears in the completed task list, and then this keeps going. So let's go back to our home page, and we click on the menu. We find that there are 2 other views, completed task and completed projects, which is just a different way of looking at it, looking at the same data. Right, so let me click on copy template. Alright, so this has now copied the template into my account, and let's have a look at how it is built. So now the first thing, before jumping onto the home screen, let's have a look at the menu items here, because there's more than one. So we head over to tabs, which is the tabs at the bottom. We have categories, all projects, and open tasks. If you click on categories, we see that the source is the category sheet from the spreadsheet. We don't see any features, any visibility conditions, so that's good. The all projects tab has the source linked to the projects sheet from the original spreadsheet. Again, there's no visibility conditions here in the features. And finally, for open task queue is linked to the tasks sheet from the original spreadsheet. Again, there is nothing, no conditions here. So pretty decent, pretty simple, straightforward, all good. the menu, which is really this open menu here, that the first one, completed tasks, is looking again at task sheet, and there's no features, so that's okay. And completed projects looks at projects without any visibility conditions. So that is the tabs. That's how the menu was configured. It would be a good idea to now have a look at the data. So to edit the sheet, you click on this one here. It opens up a new tab with the spreadsheet over here. I can see that there is, let's move myself to the right. I can see that there's categories, which is something that we had a look at, personal, professional, others, and then there's some images which it's pulling from Unsplash. There's projects, which is just a bunch of projects. There are emojis, and it is linked, each project is linked to one category. Then finally we have task. So this is how the spreadsheet was populated. In task we have a bunch of tasks which are related to projects, and they may or may not have a due date, and then there's a boolean true or false with another unique key, and then there's a bunch of choices which you can mark the task as in progress, not started, those kind of things. So going back to the app itself, let's start by having a look at the categories, the list of categories, and we can see that this time this particular page is using the list style rather than the detail style. So in the previous videos we have seen apps that were using details. This is using list. Next we have the data, so from where it's coming, right? So we know that it is linked to categories, but then to pull this data, it's really picking up these columns, values from these columns. There's not many columns here, so details and caption is left empty, but of course if we set these two categories, it'll just duplicate the information. But for now I think it's best to just leave it blank. Next up we have features, which has a checkbox to be able to show this search box here, search bar here. You can obviously type any other placeholders if you want, for example search categories, and that shows up in this search box as a placeholder. Now each action on clicking on this just takes us to the view details screen. So if you click on that, we have the personal detail screen. So each category is detail screen. We have title, which is really the image, so that's the category image from Unsplash, and the title, that's the text itself. We have the form button, which allows us to add a new project. Clicking on that is really just going to show us a form, which is really capturing the project details. Now this one is sort of automatic based on the sheet, so Glide is smart enough to detect a few things, but of course you can always add a different category if you want to. You can always update it accordingly. At the bottom of this we have an inline list, which is pulling up a list of projects, sort of bundling up the list of projects under this particular category. So for that it uses the source. The input is this little dynamic column called projects, and the data, once it pulls it up, the data to fill that is really the title is the project, the caption is the description, or the details is the description, and the image is the icon itself. The dynamic column, this little nice column that allows us to pull the projects, what is it really, right? So for that we don't have to look at Google Sheets, instead we'll have to look at the data. And so this allows us to visualize a spreadsheet, but with Glide's UI layer on top of it, and this also shows us more number of columns, right? So you can add a column from Glide from this UI, which will not actually get stored in the spreadsheet, and so that's a little nice touch right there. So in the projects one, this is probably the categories, isn't it? So it allows us to add, where were we? Yeah, so this is the categories, personal, and so this is the column that it's actually pulling. So that is the, if you click on the edit icon, you would notice that the column type is relation, and so what it does is it allows us to map one row from one sheet with potentially multiple rows from another sheet. So in this case, we are mapping this row based on the value it finds from the category column, which in this case is personal. We are matching that with the category column in the projects sheet, which is the second one, and we are allowing it to match multiple. So that's why in the projects it looks at the category column, and wherever it finds personal, so there's two of them here, Tissa's birthday and new patio, both of them it will pull up for this particular row, right? So it's a nice way to sort of link two different spreadsheets based on an identifier, and then either pull a single value or even pull multiple, and the use case for that, it's exactly this. So you can have inline lists, and which can bundle things, group things together, and then take people through that user journey. What I'll do is I'll also add a link to all of these concepts that I'm talking about in the description of this video, so you don't have to worry. Glide has prepared some really cool videos that talk about each of these concepts. Alright, so now when I click on any one of these projects, I can see that it takes me to the project itself, the project detail screen itself, which there's a lot of components over here, but most of the components that we're looking at, like title, there's a choice here which is really a drop down for the column status. For the column status, that's where the value of this choice will go, but remember there was another sheet called choices, so that's where the value is coming in from. Then we have an inline list, which is now linking to something called tasks, so that is a source. So it is a similar concept that we just used in the previous screen. So instead of connecting the category with the projects, now we're connecting the project with the tasks. So we go one level below, and then finally, what do we have here? We have list relation. So this again looks at the task column, or this relation column that we created, but there's a filter here, and I'm guessing there should be a filter on top as well. So let's revisit that. So filter here where status is equal to true, which means here under feature this is equal to false or is empty. So that's outstanding. So that's how it dynamically adds either the task in this group or in this group. Now when you click on one of these, it takes us to the detail screen of that task, and over here you have a few other components as well. All of them are pretty straightforward, but you'll notice that there's one called relation. Now this is again building on to that same relationship concept that we added for those dynamic columns, and in this case it is pulling up the value from project relation. So now we want to tie on the task detail screen, we want to tie it back to the project that it was associated with, and that's really from where the values are coming in from. Now to have a look at how it looks in the data screen, let's click on that, and we can see in the projects we have two relation type columns. One is called category relation, where we're looking at the category column for each and every row, and we're matching it to the category sheet and on the category column. So that's how we're pulling up this information. Now this is sort of a one-to-one mapping here, which is all good. In the task column, what we're doing is when we click on edit, what we're doing is we're looking at the project column. So that is this one here, and we are matching that to the value of the project column in the task sheet, and in this case we're pulling multiple values again. So that is what we're trying to do, again building up that sort of we're bringing sort of the grouping, the collection of objects into that one column. And finally we have the task sheet, which is really the individual task. Each task is associated with a project. So we have this project relation column here, which, as you would expect, is looking at the project column from this particular sheet matches with the project column of the project sheet. Next up, we have this column type, which is now which is something different, which is not the usual relation column. It is instead using a column type called lookup. What this does is it's able to fetch a value from another sheet into our current sheet, right? So it's easier to look things up. That's exactly what really it is. The way it is configured is it looks at the project relation, so the one that we just added here, and in that it is pulling up the value of category column. So once it pulls up the value for category column, we get the value here, and then in the category relationship we are now able to add this relationship. So we are now able to match the value of category with the value of the category column from the category sheet. Now I know there's a lot of matching that we just spoke about. There's a lot of relationships that we spoke about, but essentially what it really is, it's just building up those that lists, that collection, so that we are able to group all the projects under a category. Then we're able to group all the tasks under each project, but then from a task we are also able to link it back to a project. So hopefully that should give you a nice overview of how this task app was built. Task tracker was built using a spreadsheet and a few of these column types here. This one is limited to only 2 column types. We had a look at a relation type column or relation column type, and then we had a look at a lookup column type. Now to be fair, I don't think that they have used this one anywhere. So if I have a look at the list of tasks, I cannot see that they have used category relation. So it is probably just for demonstration that they have actually added these 2 columns. But hey, look, this is, I think, worth giving a try. If you're excited about this video, if you're excited about trying this out by yourself, then feel free to copy this template, change a few things, remove those columns and see what happens, and then leave me a comment and tell me how your journey has been. I'll be keen to see some of your apps. Feel free to share it, publish it, but I'll be keen to see some of your apps and see what changes have you made from the original task tracker that was available from the marketplace. So having said that, if there were any questions along the way, if you had any questions around this video, around those two column types that we looked at, please feel free to post it in the comment section below, and I'll get to answer as many questions as I can. Finally, please consider subscribing to this channel, so that when I upload more videos, you are notified of them, or you just get these videos into your YouTube feed. And now, if you learn something new from this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know that you've liked the video, and also feel free to share this with your friends and family in your network, so that they learn how to build an app from a spreadsheet. Thank you for watching this video. That's it for me today. Until next time, take care, stay safe, bye bye.